So, you're thinking about a major IT platform migration. Your head's probably full of tech talk, right? Specs, features, all that stuff. But what if I told you the biggest thing that could trip you up has nothing to do with the technology itself? Let's get into it. All right, just a quick heads up before we really jump in. This is the second part of a 5-part series, and it's all based on a massive research report from Virtualization Options LLC. Now, obviously, in these short explainers, we're just scratching the surface of what's in that full report. Today, we're zeroing in on the human side of things, the operational challenges. So let's just ask the big question right up front. When you're tackling a project this huge, what's the one thing that's most likely to send it off the rails? Is it the tech, the budget, maybe compatibility issues? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. The research is super clear on this. The biggest challenge isn't the hardware. It's not the software. Nope, it's the people. The actual human beings who have to use this new system day in and day out. And this, right here, is what we call the people problem. See, switching platforms isn't just swapping out some servers in a rack. It completely rewrites the rules for your team. It changes everything about their workday, from the simplest little task to the most complex troubleshooting. And just look at how deep this goes. That management console your team has known like the back of their hand for years? Gone. Replaced with a totally new UI, new words for everything. All those command line scripts they've spent ages perfecting? Useless. The syntax is all different now. Even something as basic as finding a log file to figure out what's wrong is a whole new puzzle. It's like every bit of muscle memory they've built up is just, poof, gone overnight. Okay, but here's the good news. This whole phase of confusion and adjustment, it's totally predictable. There's a well-worn path that every team goes down, from feeling completely lost to eventually mastering the new system. And if you know what that path looks like, you can actually manage it. And here's that path laid out as a timeline. You gotta expect that initial drop in productivity in the first couple of weeks. That's just disorientation. It's totally normal. Don't panic. Then for the next month or two, you'll see them start to climb that learning curve as they get their hands dirty. By about month 3 to 6, they should hit competency. Basically, they're back to being as good as they were on the old platform. But the real payoff, that comes after 6 months. That's when they move into optimization, where they're not just using the tech, they're bending it to their will and actually making things way more efficient. Okay, so you need the right skills to get through this journey. That brings up a massive question that every single organization faces. Do you go out and hire a bunch of new experts who already know the platform, or do you train up the people you already have? Let's break that down, because there are real pros and cons to both. Hiring an expert? Sure, you get that knowledge on day one, which sounds great, but it's a crazy competitive market out there. It costs a ton, and that shiny new hire has zero clue about how your company actually works. Now, training your own people, you keep all that incredible institutional knowledge, and you show your team you're invested in their careers. The catch? You have to live with that initial productivity dip and invest the time to get them there. You know, for most companies, when you look at the long game, the benefits of training your own people are just too big to pass up. The trick is you can't treat training like an afterthought. You need a real structured plan, a blueprint, if you will, for building expertise that actually sticks. So what does a good training framework look like? Well, it usually has 4 steps. You start with the basics, right? Foundational training, probably from the vendor, to learn the core features. But, and this is so important, you can't just stop at classroom learning. Step 2 is critical: hands-on labs, a safe sandbox where your team can play, experiment, and yes, break things without any real consequences. Step 3, getting certified, is how you validate that they actually know their stuff. And finally, step 4 is all about keeping that knowledge fresh with ongoing education. But let's be real, is all this time and money on training actually worth it? According to the data in the report, the answer is a resounding yes. And we're not talking about some fuzzy feel-good benefit. The return on investment is clear, it's measurable, and you'll see it in your day-to-day operations. Just get a load of this. Companies that actually invest in formal training see downtime cut by 70%. 70! And it's not magic. It's because a well-trained team just, well, they make fewer mistakes. And when something does break, they know exactly where to look to fix it fast. And speaking of fast, they resolve issues 40% faster. Think about that. When a critical application is down, that 40% isn't just a number. That's the difference between a minor hiccup and a full-blown, business-halting crisis. Okay, so your tech team is getting trained up, which is awesome. But they don't work in a bubble, right? A truly successful migration means you have to manage the change across the entire organization. It's not just about what you do, it's about how you talk about what you're doing. And that means you can't have a one-size-fits-all message. You have to tailor it. Your executives, they want to hear about ROI and how you're managing risk. The app owners, they only care about one thing. Will my application stay online? Your security and compliance folks, you need to bring them in from the very beginning. And the end users, just give them a clear heads up about what's changing and when. Different audiences need different conversations. There's a quote in the report that just hits the nail on the head. It says technical excellence means basically nothing if your stakeholders are fighting the change or have no idea what's going on. You can build the most perfect system imaginable, but if people aren't on board, you're going to have a bad time. All right, now we get to the really good part, the ultimate payoff. Once you've got this skilled, clued-in team, you can finally unlock the true promise of a modern platform, and that is automation. This is the secret sauce that turns a good team into a great one. It's what makes this whole expensive project a real strategic game changer. And today's platforms are built for the stuff from the ground up. We're talking about things like infrastructure as code, where you manage everything with code instead of clicking around in a web browser. They have powerful APIs so you can connect anything to anything, and built-in orchestration to handle complex jobs automatically. It's all designed to plug right into the way modern DevOps teams work. So let's look at a real-world case study to see what this looks like when it all comes together: the people, the process, the automation. There was this healthcare provider that went through a migration, and their goal wasn't just to swap out old tech for new tech. They wanted to completely transform how they operated. And the results? They were absolutely staggering. By embracing automation, they took the time to deploy a new virtual machine from hours all the way down to just minutes. That's a 70% speed up, which is just a massive boost to their agility. And because they were deploying everything with code, they practically eliminated human error, a 90% drop in configuration mistakes. What does that mean in the real world? Better security, way more reliability, and a whole lot less time wasted putting out fires that shouldn't have started in the first place. So what about the bottom line? How about a 40% drop in operational costs? Think about that. All those repetitive, manual tasks were automated, freeing up their smartest people to work on stuff that actually moves the business forward. This is the key takeaway. The automation pays for everything. It pays for the new tech, and it pays for the training. And that really brings us to the final question you need to ask yourself. Is your team ready not just to use the new technology, but to truly master it? Because just using it isn't enough. Mastery. That's where you find the real speed, the real reliability, and the huge savings that made you want to do this whole migration in the first place.